Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 90. I am your host, and my co-host and teenage son is here, and we've taken this show on the road. Correct, my son?
First time ever?
First time ever in a... Well, I was going to say different location, but that's not true. We did the kitchen table for the COVID episode.
Well, and...
First time out of the house.
I think first episode, first episode was not in the...
In the studio yet.
Studio, so...
You're right. But first time not in our house, for sure.
Yeah.
So we are in beautiful St. Catharines, Ontario. We are in the Holiday Inn Express. We're here for my younger son's provincial basketball tournament that is happening this weekend. So they are out for a team dinner, and I am a stubborn man, so I'm determined to put out some content for my loyal listeners every Saturday, because Saturday is the day that we do things.
And I tagged along to buy stuff.
We did tag along to buy stuff, and you did buy stuff. That could come
up.
I
bought many stuff.
We can talk about that. So we, we're basically holed up in the hotel while they're out at dinner. We're going to knock off. I think there might be a little bit different from what we normally do. We're probably going to talk about the pay-per-views from the weekend ago. And then we probably will get home tomorrow and release a second half of this where we'll talk about AEW Dynamite and NXT and hit the figuring it out section. So I think tonight we're going to talk about the news and rumors, and then we'll get into, in order, right? I watched Supercard of Honor. You did not. So I'll talk about that. I'll talk about Stand and Deliver, which you did not watch. And then
I watched the opener.
Oh, you did. That's right. And then we'll hit Wrestlemania both nights, which we both watched. Unfortunately. So if that gives you an idea. Yeah, if you're a main roster supporter and you get angry when people don't like main roster, you might want to tune out now. We've already got your download, so because we're not the most positive main roster people, right? So,
never.
Right. So, but yeah, that's what it's going to look like. So we're going to talk about probably 4 pay-per-views technically, if you count Wrestlemania as 2 nights, right?
I guess 4 nights of pay-per-views if you want to put
That's
it
correct.
Technically.
That is more correct. And then we'll come back at you tomorrow when we get home. We got about a 2-hour drive. I think your brother's going to be playing early in the morning, unfortunately.
Well, that's fun.
Right. And we have to get up early, but at least we'll be home early too. Get home to the cat earlier. She's lonely.
Oh, I forgot.
Forgot about the cat.
I kind of did.
How dare you?
Yeah.
So you went out in some figure hunts and were successful. So tell us what you got.
All right, yeah, so I'll go over it. So we went to, the first place we went was, this place called,
Oh, right.
Bounty Hunter Toys. So
it
shout
was
out to
on
them.
the way.
They're pretty cool.
My wife, being the lovely woman she
their
is.
Instagram is BH Toys.
Always supporting my son and their hobbies, found a collector's store. It was pretty impressive.
It was really cool. There's literally, I walked in the door, wrestling stuff to my right.
Yep.
And as I drop it, the first thing I see to my right is the exact Darby Allin I've been after.
Right.
So I got AEW Unmatched Series 1 Darby Allin with the body paint. I think it's from Full Gear when you beat Cody for the TNT title, so that's cool. I like it because it's got the body paint. And so I've been after that for a while because I just got the Kenny Omega a week or so ago. So got those 2 figures that I've been after for a while. And then I got Fan Takeover Elite Adam Cole, which is good because I had the Adam Cole from the Epic Moments 3-pack,
Right.
but the ankle is
was
loose.
Messed up.
And it pisses me off.
It does.
So now I have a not useless Adam Cole, which is pretty cool.
And the store was impressive. It
was really nice. Yeah,
it
they
was
had some
all retro toys and then
Star Wars stuff too. But I really liked the wrestling section because so there was the wall to my right. When you walk in the door, there's the wall on the right. Right, there's some AEW figures. There's some cool stuff. There's a bunch of Unrivaled. Only a couple of unmatched figures. There was the Darby I got. There's a Britt Baker. They had the ringside exclusive TNT Cody.
Right.
Then up above, I remember seeing a WrestleMania 34 battle pack, Sting and Triple H. Then there's the counter, across from that there was some battle packs underneath, so that was cool. And there's the one wall with a bunch of different elites and basics, and then below there's a bunch of bins of loose figures, which is really cool. I remember seeing a bone crunching action Bret Hart, which would have been 96, I think, which is really cool. And there's kind of this diagonal wall with a bunch of recent-ish elites, Elite 88 Kushida I saw, or Matt Riddle, or I think Cross, Bray Wyatt, Top Picks Fiend, stuff like that. So recent-ish elites, and then also in a bin I saw a custom elite Cody which I think looked from New Japan or something.
Right.
So that was really cool. And then there's some elites on a top shelf, and you can only see the sides, and that's where I got Adam Cole. There's a bunch of cool stuff. The wrestling section I really liked, and then there was some other stuff. There's really old Star Wars stuff. There was some cool Marvel stuff. There was a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah, and me being a man, in my
Yeah,
40s,
you saw like some old GI Joe stuff
some
that
of
you had.
my toys, right? I
Right.
saw some GI Joes I had,
Yeah.
some Transformers I had, some Star Wars figures I had.
Yep.
So it was really cool
hmm
for me to see as well. So that was your first stop. Where else did you
And then
manage to find things?
today we went to there's a Toys R Us and a Walmart. Walmart didn't really have anything, but then we went to Toys R Us. I found some Elite 90 for the first time. There was like the white Trunks Orton from Mania last year. There was white gear Jey Uso from when he faced Roman Reigns. And then I got Mustafa Ali and Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed's in like the Bam Bam Bigelow inspired singlet, and that's his only figure in WWE.
Yeah, that
So
was a good find,
that'll
I
be his
think.
only figure. And then I also got a Retribution version of Mustafa Ali, so that's cool. They also had Reckoning.
Not, which is less cool.
I'm not. I think we can all agree I shouldn't have picked that up, and I didn't.
No,
They also had
save
Big
your money.
Boss Man. And then I went to Chapters, and there's this cool Marvel Encyclopedia. But then immediately below that, I saw like the Star Wars comics, and then I saw Darth Maul, and it was Son of Dathomir, which is uh, a cool Darth Maul comic because
Right.
he's my boy. And I've watched like a video on it before, so I've seen it before, like I know how it goes. But it was really cool, so I got that because he's my favorite, so that's really cool. And then
And you're a
I
spoiled boy.
think that's it. Oh, also yesterday there's this outdoor mall. I got a couple shirts from Hot Topic. I got one which is Gorillas, and then
Gorilla's the
the
band.
one from the Batman.
Right, from the Batman. So yeah, very productive weekend for you because you didn't have basketball, so that was your perk, was getting a couple things while you were here, quote unquote supporting your brother, even though you only went to one of his 3 games so far and didn't pay attention, but that's
I was
okay.
watching Star
And he has
Wars.
one more tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. They did put a scare into the number 1 seed. They didn't beat them, but they played an amazing game, best game of the season they've played.
I at least remember the score being close.
It was close, and to be honest, that team is a fantastic team.
They're what, like 10 or less off?
Yes. Yep. They ended up losing by, might have been 10, I think. Yeah. So a very good performance. Nate played awesome. That's my son's name, so I don't know if I've mentioned that before. But yeah, so a pretty busy week. My voice is holding out, although I've been yelling and screaming, coaching their games. But I think I'll get through this. So I don't know. That's some pretty good bantering. I figure we should get into talking
Yeah,
about
I was just thinking in my head, like, it's probably longer than usual.
Yeah, we're up pushing 8 minutes of banter. So that's
Wow.
not bad.
Yep, that is longer.
But let's stop the banter and get into talking some wrestling. And we'll start out with some of the wrestling news and rumors from this week. All right, so starting out, taking a look at some ratings. Tuesday's live post stand and deliver edition of NXT 2.0 drew 631,000 viewers, which is up 0.8%. This is the week of basically same ratings as last week for everybody. So up 0.8%, which is obviously minuscule. Earned a 0.14 in the key demographic, which is the same as last week. So holding steady in their ratings is NXT. And that is very much the case for AEW as well. Their Wednesday's live edition of AEW drew 989,000, so up 1.02. So again, almost exactly the same. And the demographic was a 0.38, which was in fact exactly the same as last week. So I think in 90 weeks now of doing this show, that is the only time that both have been basically exactly the same as the week before. So that's a little interesting fun fact.
And not like ratings, but as far as like I just kind of like observed the Raw and SmackDown after Mania. Pretty lame.
Yeah, we were going to actually watch it because it's the only Raw that we still kind of watch, and then we gave up. We just decided we'd check out highlights or whatever, or get.
We will be including news nuggets from said shows because there's a few. While some are bad, some are interesting, and there's others too.
Speaking of which, so I started pulling some news items earlier in the week. So it started out as a WWE is reportedly considering, and now it is absolutely confirmed because we saw it. So the news was that they are moving Imperium, at least 2/3 of Imperium, up to the main roster.
And who are they moving up?
So they are moving up Walter and
Ludwig Kaiser.
So yes,
Kaiser.
Marcel Bartel for some reason, because I assume they gave him the name Marcel Bartel.
There's
right?
no way. No, because I actually just saw a thing like his indie name was like Axel something Jr. Like it's like I don't know, something like that. But like the point is, I think you're right.
And
that they gave him Marcel Bartel.
Right, and because they don't like people using their own names, especially when he got to WWE. He wasn't a known person, so they would have almost guaranteed given him a name. But anyways, they decided to change it.
And it's stupid. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone named Ludwig ever.
Right. And well, I
other
mean,
than Harry
it's
Potter's
probably
owl.
a common name elsewhere, maybe Germany or something. But anyways, so yes, when I get to talking about NXT tomorrow, probably there was kind of for me, it felt like a very sudden Eichner splitting from the group, which I
Yep.
guess was
And him
telegraphing.
and Walter, I will not call him that.
I still call him Walter as well.
Yep,
I feel like
exactly.
you. I'm stubborn like you on that one.
That one's really stupid. Like I'm always gonna call him Pete Dunne too. I will never refer to him
Right.
as Butch.
Right.
Like it's just stupid. But anyways, him and Walter, they wore all red, which is probably like that still kind of disgusted me, but it was probably the least offensive change because like that's just like
Yeah.
ring color. But
And their
the
ring
thing,
music is different
the
too.
ring music is different. I
Or
don't
sorry,
know
entrance
why.
music.
But so
Me
their
either.
music is different too, which sucks. Cause I think Walter's theme was awesome.
too.
It was perfect. And I thought the jacket for Walter looked off like it looked like a big red like trench coat.
And I'm
Almost.
hoping because when it's going to come up in Stand and Deliver and when I review NXT, sort of the mystique of Walter has already been killed. So I'm really hopeful that they can. I highly doubt it though, right? Because WWE just won't book somebody as strong as Walter should be booked because he should just be an absolute powerhouse
Roman Reigns, but
menace.
even then,
Right.
no, I think it's pretty similar.
Right. So, yeah, that was my first nugget there. And I don't know, I'm a huge Fabian Eichner supporter in ring. Maybe not so much character work and mic work. I don't think he's terrible, but I think that guy is fantastic. So I really hope that means he's going to get a singles push in NXT or
As
something.
if.
It's hard to believe because he is kind of a veteran at this point, right? And they hate veterans in NXT.
He's been around since at least the Cruiserweight Classic, right?
Where he dropped a bunch of weight to make the 205 limit, if I remember correctly, because he is an incredible combination of speed and power, right? Like and technical ability too. He's fantastic. So
He's like Roddy. If he could talk,
he'd be set.
total package.
Yeah. What do you have for us?
I know this will go.
We'll dovetail into one of my news.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
So
where you're
WWE
going.
has released Nash Carter of MSK, former NXT Tag Team Champion.
Yes.
Due to following abuse allegations and Adolf Hitler imitation. Because so, I think what his like wife or ex-wife or whatever the situation
Kimberly.
is, Kimberly,
Yep.
put out some photos of like her lip was bust after he
Yes.
he hit her or something, and then there's something going around like that's not real or something. I don't know.
There's all kinds of speculation on it,
So
right?
like
But
maybe that's not real, but anyways, that's something bad. And then she also posted a picture of like he had shaved his mustache down like a while ago to look like Hitler.
right,
And then he was
took a
doing
picture.
imitating a Nazi salute. So that's what they released him for.
That seems to be that was the straw that broke
'Cause,
the camel's
like,
back, as they say.
I feel like, well, I mean, because I guess like true or not, like there is some like fog around the abuse allegations because like is it real? Isn't it? But like the Hitler imitation is
right. I tend to default to
undoubtedly.
believing the abuser because I don't like to think people would lie about that. But again, obviously we don't know for sure. But
Right.
we talked about it sort of off air that basically he is not a big enough star for them to fight through this, right? They're basically like, you're a tag team guy. We don't care about tag teams. You don't look like you have a
small guy at that.
You don't have a singles career ahead of you. You are causing some issues. We just don't care at this point.
Right.
It's not worth it. The juice
I
is not
definitely
worth
feel
the
bad
squeeze.
for Wesley because I think he's
Yes.
pretty good too,
He
and
is
now
very
he's
good.
kind of left in the water. It's not even like there's a cruiserweight title because
No.
as dead in the water as that division is, if it were still here, it would have been something for him to do. I think, right? So now he's kind of like I don't know what he's gonna do.
Yeah, he is very talented. Again, not great speaking, so I don't know. He needs a mouthpiece or something. But my idea was
I feel like that's hard to maneuver with baby.
My idea was move him up and tag team with Ricochet, just because that would be like
require effort. But then they would just be jobbers to the stars.
Fastest, high flyingest tag team in a long time, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, yes. So mine related to that is that the WWE NXT tag team titles held by MSK have been relinquished, obviously due to
oddly on the Instagram post they didn't mention why.
No.
Like, I want to know.
Right.
I'm kind of waiting for an answer.
So the tag teams titles have been vacated, and we will get new champions crowned on this Tuesday's NXT 2.0 episode.
I really hope that they redesign the titles and add a bunch of unnecessary and childlike colors to it.
Why have they done that, or just in general with NXT?
They literally did that with both titles already.
Right.
Because on Stand and Deliver, they gave the NXT Women's title a white strap, like all the other women's titles, and then like in like there's like kind of like grill like bits of like the titles instead of like gold or silver. It's now there's like various colors to match the aesthetic of NXT. So obviously now it kind of looks gross.
Right.
It's just like a bunch of weird, unnecessary like neon like and bright colors that don't belong on a championship.
Right.
And like I know it's kind of weird, but the white strap on NXT women's title I don't like because I like that there was like all the main roster women's titles are white strap and the NXT one had a black strap. Like it was just like it was the only women's title with a black strap. I thought that was just kind of like that's kind of a neat distinction,
Yeah.
you know. And so that's bad. And then on NXT when Braun Breaker defended against Walter, now his title has the ugly colored highlights as well.
And it feels like to me these titles are earmarked for the creeds at this point, as
Right.
somebody watching the show every week. But
And related to that thing I just said, after Ziggler retained on Stand and Deliver for some
spoiler,
reason, Braun Breaker won the title on Raw. So
Right.
that was something on Raw that they did for some reason.
right. Do you have any other news? I only have one more.
I think I might, yeah. Yes,
Hit
I
me.
do.
Hit me.
You want me to go again?
Yeah.
All right. So,
You need
kind of
to
like
put
your
little
Imperium
computer,
thing.
Put your computer on your lap so you're not turning away from the microphone.
Kind of like the thing you said with Imperium is so I saw a report that Lacey Evans will be returning to TV soon.
Right.
She returned on SmackDown last night.
I saw a thing and I completely forgot.
And
that
she's wearing camo.
She had another name briefly, I think, in NXT. I forget what it was.
So I remember doing like the whole lady shtick.
Right.
And she was Lacey Evans.
Yes.
So I don't remember anything else.
She was something before that. I forget.
I have no idea. She came in the Mae Young Classic. I'm almost positive she did.
I think so.
Remember her finisher was just like a right hand.
Right. Yeah. I forget what it was called. But
Women's right.
Oh, that's right. It
Or
was.
women's right.
So at times I check in with MLW. I try to watch it every now and then. So I've got a bit of news from their world. They basically
you told me about this.
They fired the entire LA Park family. So there was LA Park, El Hijo de LA Park, and then one other. I don't know.
Love Park Jr. Maybe I don't know.
Could be. I don't know. But anyways, basically,
They're Lost Parks.
At some show, they went off script and ruined a post-match angle when
it was a taping, you said, right? So it probably won't air.
Yeah. So they started hitting.
Smart on them for taping, I guess, right?
It was Jacob Fatu and Hammerstone, who is the champion right now, I believe, still.
Yeah.
They started hitting them for real. So hitting some real strikes, including like reckless, legitimate chair shots that busted open both Fatu and Hammerstone. So I think Court Bauer, it was, who's running that show, pretty much immediately sent them home, and then they have since been released because obviously that's incredibly dangerous, especially the chair shots to the head, right? Like, and especially if the other people aren't expecting it. It's one thing to like know that it's coming and brace yourself or whatever, but when you're not, that trust has to be there between wrestlers. Like, so that whole group has been released from MLW, and that is it for me. I don't know what else you have.
Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown title, and I Quit match at WrestleMania Backlash 2.
Amazing,
because
as we'll talk about, the first one at Mania there was such a banger.
It was so good.
It was just
I loved it.
It was match of the year candidate. So although I did see a match of the year candidate, I am not talking about that one. That I was being sarcastic there, but I did see a match of the year candidate.
I'd even say you saw it too.
Really?
Dynamite.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might put that on the short list too.
And finally, Raquel Gonzalez is
right.
Debuted on SmackDown, renamed Raquel Rodriguez.
Which I think
because get more stereotypical. Why don't you?
I'm pretty sure I'm a prophet though, because I think I've called her that by accident multiple times on our podcast. If
maybe that's Superstore influence.
If I were to go back through it, yeah, exactly. I'm positive.
I know you at least did once. Right. I don't know if it was a lot, but I know you at least have once.
I think I've done it a handful of times.
And so it kind of explains things. So I'm going more into spoiler territory here, but so at Stand and Deliver, they won the titles on the kickoff, which we already covered on last.
And I'm not covering the kickoff, so
episode. And then on NXT 2.0, they lost the titles back to Toxic Attraction.
Right.
And so to recap, last year after winning the first Women's Dusty Cup, there was some screwy finish in the match with Baszler and Nia Jax.
Yep.
Because they were a team. And they were the champs. Anyway, so then the NXT Women's Tag titles were introduced. They were awarded the titles. They lost the titles that same night to Shotzi Blackheart.
Right.
And Ember Moon. And then, so now they won the titles for the second reign and lost them 3 days later.
Mm-hmm.
So it's clocking in at like 3.25 days.
They did
combined over 2 reigns.
They did a lot to undo Stand and Deliver results pretty quickly.
And so now Raquel is Rodriguez, and she's on the main roster, so she's gonna do stuff.
Awesome. And that wraps up news, yeah?
I believe so.
I believe so too. So then we're going to transition into talking about 4 nights of pay-per-views in, I don't know what we should call this segment.
Pay-per-view stuff.
Pay-per-view stuff and things coming your way. So I'm going to start by talking about what turned out to be my favorite pay-per-view that I watched this weekend that you did not watch with me. And
What a low bar that is.
that is Ring of Honor's Supercard of Honor, which is now obviously an AEW product as well. So we get some crossover here. I'm not going to go into super detail about anything. I did watch everything, not pre-show if they had a pre-show. I'm not even sure. But I watched the entire card. And the opener was a very fun match between Swerve Strickland and Alex Zane, formerly of the Indies and formerly of, what was his name in WWE?
Ari Sterling.
That's right.
205 Live.
So I've seen him a bunch. He's got a lot of cool offense that he names everything after Taco Bell. So that's kind of funny. But anyways, this was a very entertaining opener. Just two really quick, high-flying guys, veterans as well. So basically, there was a nice reverse run. I think I showed you this, did I? The reverse Rana from the apron to the floor.
I think you did, yeah.
It looked incredible. I definitely was not expecting it. Zayn also hit, again, one of his Taco Bell moves, the Crunch Wrap Supreme, that basically has him doing a backflip off the top, landing on his opponent's back with both knees. That looks cool. But anyways, Swerve picked up the win in what I would call a quintessential hot opener between two very talented performers. With that, I think it was is it the JML driver that he hits? Is that a Swerve move?
Yes.
Yeah, right. I think that's what he hit. I'm going back way too far for my terrible memory, but
no, I remember the name. I know what it looks like. I don't know what the technical.
I think that's what he hit
move is
to win
called.
it. But a great start to this show, I thought. Then we had Tully, who was sort of teasing a surprise arrival wrestler that he's going to manage, and it turns out that it is Brian Cage.
Back with the Mohawk.
Right.
Harkening back
yes,
to
you're right. You
something like Lucha Underground.
very much so.
At least.
And I like the idea because
Good
Tully
use for him because what's he been doing?
and
I don't
Tully
remember.
can talk and Cage cannot, right? So Cage just needs to stand there and look like the action figure that he does and not say anything ever and wrestle.
Yeah,
he's
it
awesome
really
in the ring.
sucks to make it an AEW because he's great.
So he destroyed an indie guy that I've never seen or heard of. I think they said that they gave the fans a vote and that they voted Ninja Mask. Ninja Mac, sorry. Mask is in my notes.
Ninja Mask would be a funny name.
He did have a ninja mask, I mean, technically.
That's true.
So
technically, you're right.
Basically, Cage squashed him. I got to see a drill claw. Damn, that move is amazing.
I miss a good drill claw.
It was fun to see. So this was pretty much a squash. I think Ninja Mac got in one little flurry maybe, but Cage, it was just for him to look impressive, and he did. So, I mean, neither here nor there in terms of the overall pay-per-view because it was really quick, but a little squash match for Cage on this card. Then we got a match that I really enjoyed, Jay Lethal and Lee Moriarty. I thought this was an excellent match. So basically the idea was that Moriarty had scouted everything that Lethal's going to do, and he kept having counters for all of Lethal's signature moves, which I thought was awesome. And then Lethal, who at the time is a babyface, eventually had to hit a low blow to Moriarty because he just couldn't do anything else, right? Moriarty was sort of one step ahead.
Right.
And you can even see Lethal's not happy with himself for doing it. A little bit ashamed that he had to stoop to that level, but he does pick up the win with the lethal injection. I thought just a great match and a really cool story being told that the veteran is having trouble with this kid who just has a counter for everything. So he has to stoop to cheating. So I really enjoyed this match. It was one of the matches that made this my favorite pay-per-view of the weekend. We then had interesting, right? Because it was the women's interim championship because Deonna Purrazzo had already committed to something else for WrestleMania weekend, I think.
So they had an interim title? Like, this seems dumber than the Cody interim.
It does seem strange. Like,
Just do a normal contenders match.
Exactly. Maybe they wanted all the belts on the line at that pay-per-view. I'm not sure what the reason was. But anyways, it was Mercedes Martinez. She defeated Willow Nightingale. I thought it was a good match. I really like Mercedes a lot, and I am... Willow's growing on me. She's different, right? Her thing is that she's this very positive, always upbeat. And then she's a larger woman, so she's got some cool offense as well. A physical match. There was a couple of sloppy parts. I think it was early on, but overall I enjoyed it. Both really talented women, and I think Willow just provides something different with her size and like this whole she's super positive and always upbeat character. It's kind of interesting. So I think that she's someone that they can use going forward, and I'm happy that Mercedes Martinez, like, this match didn't blow me away, but it was a solid physical match on this card. Then we move into I haven't gotten you to watch it yet, but I'm going to probably force you to watch it because I think this is right now it's my front runner for match of the year. And I'm not a big fan of the Briscoes just in terms of the people they are, although I hear people trying to say, oh, they're great guys. Don't judge them on their tweets from however many years ago. But for me, I can find people that haven't made racist and homophobic tweets to cheer
Right.
for. You know what I mean? Ever. So, anyways, it was FTR defeating the Briscoes. Absolutely amazing match. If you haven't seen it, you should really go out of your way to watch it. I've already literally made a document that I've shared with you to put on a short list because my memory is terrible. So I wanted
Right.
to make a note of this right away. The crowd was insane for this one throughout. Even right from the beginning, just the stare down got a "This is awesome" chant because you really felt that these two teams hated each other and that this is like they each think they're the best tag teams in the world and that this was going to settle it, sort
Would you
of
say
thing.
it's like circa FTR Bucks? Like same
Yes.
idea. Like
Yes.
they're both the best. They're not the
Right.
same.
And the atmosphere is just incredible, right? The anticipation for it because these guys I don't think they've faced before, right? So this is kind of
It doesn't feel like
a
it
bit of a
feels like
dream
the kind
match.
of match where it'd be like, oh, these guys have history. Like they would have brought it up. I feel like I
Yes.
feel like I would have heard if they had already faced off. So it definitely sounds
And I
like
don't
a
think
first
so
time
because
match for me.
FTR's they were formed in WWE, right? And obviously they're not going anywhere once they're there. And then I don't think since getting to AEW
Right.
they haven't.
So yeah, it is. That's
Yeah.
good logic.
So this match had absolutely everything. The technical wrestling, brawling, we had blood, strikes, submissions, everything. Just a couple things. There was a suplex from the apron to the floor, basically like a superplex from the apron that looked amazing. And just a lot of fantastic moves and combinations by these teams. After the match, there was a show of respect between the two that was kind of cool to see after the war these two had. So you did have FTR winning, I believe it was with the big rig or the smash contraption, as we like to call it. But this was the best match I saw all weekend, and I saw a few. I'll even give WWE credit. There was a couple matches on night one that I thought were excellent, but this was easily, far and away, head and shoulders the best match I watched. I couldn't recommend it more, especially if you're a tag team wrestling fan and you're not getting that from WWE right now. This is the match you need to check out. So amazing match. We then get Minoru Suzuki. He's fighting for the TV title, right? And he defeats Rhett Titus.
And now Suzuki's defending against Samoa Joe next week.
Yeah, that should be
That
awesome.
sounds awesome.
It does. And so this is his first title in North America, I think they were saying, right? So,
That's what I heard, yeah.
so he won with the Gotch piledriver. This was a very short, especially for a pay-per-view, pretty quick match. Nothing really
Kind
special.
of makes sense. I mean, if you're comparing Minoru Suzuki to Rhett Titus.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. I don't think
fair.
it was anything special, but also like the crowd's exhausted at this point. It's really tough to follow that FTR Briscoes match, right? So this was like, I guess, a little bit of a palate cleanser here. So Suzuki wins with the Gotch piledriver, and he's the TV champion. Then we have the Pure Championships on the line. That is Wheeler Yuta, and he actually defeats Josh Woods to take the title away from Josh Woods. So if you're not a Pure Championship, if you're not up on it, it basically means there's several rules. You get one closed fist, then another one, and you're disqualified. You get 3 rope breaks, and then after that, rope breaks don't count anymore. Your opponent does not have to break the hold. If it goes the time limit, there's judges there. I forget who it was. It was somewhat relevant people. Anyways, it's
Somewhat relevant people.
you could look it up if you want to quickly. But anyways, it's kind of cool because this is a different style from the rest, right? This is the Pure division. It's more about these two being technicians, which each of these men excel in this style. Woods is a technician, but also just a physical beast, incredibly strong. And then Yuta, I mean, in Ring of Honor, he was doing that decoder gimmick, the idea that he has counters for everything. So
He has since been embracing violence.
he's really growing on me lately. So
I agree. I think as he's becoming more like Blackpool Combat
Yes.
Club, I'm enjoying him more.
absolutely,
Once he's kind of being like fleshed out.
because that's exactly what I was going to say. Before he didn't really have much character, right? He's just kind of,
He was just like solid.
and it
ring, I
felt
thought.
strange in the Best Friends right from the jump. So
Yeah, and I thought like sometimes his offense doesn't really hit for me. I think
Right.
he's technically gifted.
He is.
But so I'm enjoying him more too as well.
And sometimes the Pure matches for me get overly technical, and I start to get, I don't want to say bored, but it kind of loses some of my interest sometimes. But I didn't think this one was a victim of that. I thought this was really enjoyable, and I'm happy for Yuta because he is really growing on me, and it makes sense because AEW now controls Ring of Honor, right? Owns Ring of Honor. So putting the belt on people that already work for them, although it did then say he is all elite, like he wasn't. Remember I said that, how it's like they announced he's all elite now, like he wasn't signed before.
I thought that was it. It's one of those things where like they're just like on like a short-term agreement with someone, I guess,
Right.
and you just assume they're signed.
Yeah,
Like,
because he's
I
been
noticed
there.
this happen before. Like I feel like sometimes it's like they like have like a big debut, like you got like your Danielsons and
Yeah,
Coles and Keith Lees, or they're showing up on signing,
right.
and then like you got cases like Yuta. So I think it's just kind of interesting when they
I
do
feel like
that
he's had half a dozen or more matches and been on TV a lot,
for like
and
a few months at
now he's
least,
signed. But anyways,
like
good
at
for him.
least since the beginning of the year, if not more.
And then the main event, which was another exceptional match that really I made this my favorite show, and that was for the undisputed Ring of Honor World Championship, right? So Bandito,
Has the
explain how this went down. You're better at remembering this
uh
because Bandito had it
okay,
when I
so
stopped watching.
Bandito beat Rouge for it, right? At insert name of show here. And so he has like the current looking version of the Ring of Honor title, and then something happened with him. I don't know what it was.
Right.
And then to Gresham at their last pay per
Maybe
view
it was
before
COVID.
the break.
I feel like it might have been COVID.
Maybe.
I could be wrong.
That's one of my ideas,
Allegedly.
but I don't know. And then Gresham at the last pay per view before they took a break. I want to say it's like Death Before Dishonor.
Sure. I will never
I don't
remember
know.
names of pay-per-views.
Gresham, I think he beat Lethal for the ROH title, and they used the classic version of the title. So this is just classic title and current title.
Yep, for the undisputed. So Gresham.
And I think it's odd because they're also using like FTR had the classic Ring of Honor titles
Yes.
on AEW, so I thought that was kind of weird too. I don't know why they're doing that.
Me either. I love Bandito. I think he's fantastic. Jonathan Gresham.
Hope they keep him around.
When Jonathan Gresham isn't just super technical, because he is like a technical wizard, and again, that style sometimes loses me. But this match was fantastic. Jonathan Gresham is like 5'4", and
He's honestly like the male Layla Hirsch.
but just so his shoulders are so broad, and he's in amazing shape, and he just has a million counters and moves for everything. So this match was excellent. If it weren't for FTR Briscoes, this would be my favorite match of the weekend, I think. Really enjoyed it. So at one point, you had Bandito, who's the clear, is just a baby face. He had Chavo Guerrero with him, and he sent Chavo to the back on his own, which was kind of a unique thing because Chavo was trying to cheat for him, and Bandito kind of caught him, I believe. And then there was a delayed vertical suplex where Bandito held Gresham for a minute straight, right? So that's why there was a delayed vertical spot. I forget which match on WWE. I think it was. I saw one somewhere else
was
this weekend.
I don't.
And it was
I don't
hard
know.
to like be impressed anymore, right? Because Bandito, not that Gresham's a huge guy, but he held him for a minute.
And Bandito's not. It's not like he's like a guy like Cage.
No, Bandito though is incredibly deceptively strong. Like despite
One of those guys. Who
he
am I
is.
thinking of? Who's also like that? Like Hangman
Yep.
or I don't know. Who's someone-
Hangman's
I'm
not a bad comparison because they can both work any style as
right.
far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of. And then I don't know, like I don't know. I'm trying to think of someone else, but Hangman's the best one I can think of.
Because
Like, he's
Bandito,
just,
like he looks like he's a good size.
well, and he's like a
jacked
luchador
dude.
guy, so you're not really
Right.
like not to be like whatever, but you don't really expect that from luchadors. I feel like.
Yes, and Gresham is he's so quick and so crisp, and like at 5'4", if he's even that tall, he's really believable as a killer, and it's really cool to see. And Bandito's just so quick and strong. They worked really well together. Another match I would highly recommend if you listen to us to sort of cherry pick shows because you don't have time or whatever. This is a match I would find. So overall, again, my favorite show that I watched this weekend had probably my two favorite matches out of, I watched basically, I would say 4 nights of pay-per-views. And I think FTR was my favorite match, and Bandito Gresham was probably my second. Nothing was really bad. Most things were good. A few things were great to amazing. So I gave this pay-per-view an A-, almost an A. I don't know why not an A, to be honest. But an A-, very strong start to the AEW ROH union. And I was telling you that if ROH gets on TV or the internet or something, that will probably be the time I drop NXT and just pick up watching something I actually enjoy.
I'll watch that, yeah, and I don't really
and then
know.
that'd be great if you watch it with me.
I think it is genuinely a miracle that you are still watching NXT.
I'm trying, man. Which
like
great.
6 months at least after I stopped watching it.
That is a great segue.
Almost 6 months.
And a great segue because now I'm going to talk about their pay-per-view offering.
Ooh.
Or sorry, can I call it a pay-per-view? Probably not.
What? A premium live event, all right? How you insult
The PLE.
them, okay?
Yep, that's right. So
Wow.
it is stand and deliver.
You could call it a pleb if you go premium live event, boy.
And you did watch the opening match with me, and I would say that you watched the best match on this show. And
That's saying a lot.
That was the opening ladder match. Who all was in it? Rhyme it off for me.
Grimes,
True.
Hayes, Escobar, Waller, someone else. I know.
Sikoa.
Sikoa.
He was sort of just kind of there in this match, right?
He's probably the least ladder matchy guy in there.
Although he took the craziest spot. He took the sunset flip bomb off the ladder onto a ladder, which was insane.
Right. Classic.
And then the other big spot was Waller going for his like between the leg elbow drop to nobody, but crashing into the ladder. There's no way that didn't hurt.
It looked really like iffy, but like not in a bad way. Cause like he kind of went through it, but mostly his arm went through it. So
yes.
he didn't like
he took it all on his
go
arm.
through it. But like that almost makes it look more rough because it wasn't like a clean thing.
All the impact was
what
basically on
his
arm.
It looked messy. It looked kind of iffy.
Yes.
But like in a good way.
So I thought this was a very good match. Not like an all-time ladder match, but a very fun
Not even the best
match.
North American ladder match.
I thought. So anyways, Grimes ends up stealing the win off of a cave-in. Sort of what I expected, right? Because I was telling you, I think last week, that once you get that hole, I'm
doing it for my family.
I'm gonna, fulfill.
Or like a dead relative.
I'm gonna fulfill a promise to my dead dad. Like, how do you not have him win at that point, right?
You have him like almost win.
I'm happy for Grimes. He picks up the win in, again, a really good opening match. I thought it was the match of the night, which is a sad statement because it was the first match.
That's Royal Rumble 20.
Yes.
This year's Royal Rumble or Backlash 2018.
Right. Because what was it? Rollins and
Miz.
And no, at the
Royal Rumble. It was Rollins and Reigns. They were both Rollins.
Rollins who?
Reigns.
Oh yeah, that match.
And then
was
Backlash
awesome.
2018 was Rollins, Miz for the IC title.
Rollins is a worker, man, no doubt.
That was when they had like the crappy Joe Reigns main event, and there was Dana Bryan Cass,
right,
and Carmella, Charlotte, stuff like that.
Right. So the next match is Tony D'Angelo taking on Tommaso Ciampa in what would be...
you gotta refer to him as the dawn of NXT, okay?
Now we do, yes. Which would be Tommaso Ciampa's final match in NXT. I don't even like the matchup because you've got one of the faces of NXT. People could argue like the most important. I don't know. It's debatable, right? Like he's one of the...
I'd say like I'd put Cole over him, and then I'd put Gargano over
He's on
Cole.
your NXT Mount Rushmore, right? Probably.
Yes, he's one of them sure.
And he's a serious character, and he's been really trying to give serious, sincere promos, and he's facing a cartoon character, right? Like possibly the cartooniest of cartoon characters on this show, the walking stereotype that is Tony D'Angelo.
That is the perfect name.
And so, whatever, it was a fine match, nothing special. And D'Angelo won with a basic kick to the face, which I didn't really love. So D'Angelo wins. Ciampa, and of course, it is tradition to sort of leave the territory or the company.
But like, do better.
But yes, like this match, it was probably a little better than fine, but I didn't love it. I was a little disappointed.
I feel like there's a lot of better 2.0 talent you could have Ciampa put over.
It's Ciampa. Like, give him an absolute amazing match here in the end, right?
Or he doesn't even have to lose. I mean, sure, that is a tradition, but...
And then, my notes say Triple H came out to make it as much about him as he possibly could, right? Like, to me, you're coming out and hugging Ciampa, that's great, but do that backstage.
I mean, it's nice to see him, but, like, to me, I didn't, like, care as much. But then he also cut an opening promo on Mania Night 2. Pick one or the other.
So I think you can do that backstage and then release that in some sort of like, you know what I mean, when they do those specials
and like that's
or
like
whatever.
The first time people have seen him or whatever. So why not save that for Mania?
Right.
By that logic.
So I, as a fan of Ciampa and just a person who appreciates everything he's done for NXT, I didn't think this was the right way to have him leave. I wasn't a big fan of this. Like I said, he's just losing clean to a cartoon character in a pretty basic match by all accounts. And I've been positive on some of D'Angelo's matches, right? Like
when it was actually solid, you did say this.
Right. So I didn't love this. But anyways, we then get, I think, what was probably my next favorite match on this card, and that was the tag team triple threat, right? Which had the now defunct and stripped of the titles MSK defeating Imperium and the Creeds to win the title.
Wesley and who?
Gone. Don't know.
Adolf.
In a very fast-paced, entertaining match, I would say. It was pretty short. And the finish was was quite sudden.
Are you calling an NXT match short?
It was not 3 minutes though, which is generally what's on the show. So I like this match, really fast paced, lots of good work. The Creeds just continue to look really, really good and seem to be just getting better and better. Too bad they're in a company that couldn't care less about tag teams because they're good. Julius looks like a star to me. Oh, this
that
was the match
standard,
where
they are the kind of tag team that they'd like at least.
yes. Did you see any highlights of the cannonball that I think it was the first time Brutus has done it?
I
It looked
saw
cool
a clip of
actually.
that. Like he just jumped at them in a cannonball.
Yeah,
I
jumped
thought that
up
was
and like
funny.
he's cannonballing into a pool off the
Yeah,
top to the
I thought that was
floor.
funny.
It looked cool, yeah.
I think I
Um,
saw like that clip once.
so I liked that match. It was fun. Then we get into the women's championship match. So that's Mandy Rose, Cora Jade, Io Shirai, and Kaylee Ray. Mandy Rose ended up retaining the title here.
The
And
new title.
and what I told you is what I wrote in my notes. For me, Cora Jade was exposed in this match. I don't know what people see in her. And it's great. You can say she's super, super young, right? She's 20 or whatever. That's fine. She's not good. I don't care. I hear people say she's good. She's the future, whatever. I don't know, man. She has to improve a lot for me to get on board
You can
with
make
that.
excuses for why she's bad, but you can't say she's good.
I think she had awkward moments with every single other person
I've
in this
seen
match.
that with her every time I watch her.
And what she does doesn't look believable. Now, that being said, she had the highlight of the match and maybe one of the highlights of this show. She hit I believe it was a destroyer to Kaylee Ray on the apron. It looked awesome. So I will give her credit where credit's due. It's just the rest of her stuff she lacks polish, right? It's just nothing.
So much.
What did I call her? The anti Brian Danielson, right? That I believe everything he does and everything she does,
But
I
she's
don't
like
believe it.
24. That's funny. Like I get what you're saying, but like to compare her to Danielson, it's just like
It's not
that's funny.
fair, of course.
No, but I just
But-
think that's funny.
Yeah, so I did not love this match. Mandy Rose won it with her, actually a pretty nice looking V trigger or whatever she calls it. I don't know.
How dare you?
But I thought the match was underwhelming because I love Io. I love Kaylee Ray. I think Mandy Rose is fine. Cora Jade, not a fan. But this match, it didn't really work for me. We then get good old Walter. He defeated LA Knight, in my notes say, a surprisingly ordinary match. Like, I don't think there was anything wrong with it per se, but it wasn't super exciting either. And this is where I'm just noticing, like, the mystique of Walter's pretty much been killed for me already.
That's when you're noticing.
And I think this is probably the least interesting Walter match that I can remember, right? Walter, for me, in an average match, shouldn't be a thing. He should, he's capable of just incredible matches. At
Shouldn't
least
be competitive with LA Knight.
I guess the plus side is he got a clean win over an established talent. For me, it feels like LA Knight could be on his way out of NXT, but as of Raw and SmackDown, he's not, right? So he's still there.
Which I think is weird, like, because he would have been, like, the ones I would have put up to,
Me too.
like, maybe not Imperium or Raquel. Okay, maybe Raquel, but
I think Raquel's fair. And Walter, to be honest. They could bring him up there. And I know this sounds mean because Walter's getting healthier and in better shape, but I miss, like, chubby Walter. He's just so unique, right?
just
He's
like
just
it was more intimidating. 'Cause this is this big guy who's gonna hit you really hard
Yes.
and maybe jump on you.
and just naturally strong and functional strength. Like, he's not worried about what his body looks like. He's not a body guy, but he's just a beast.
It'd be kind of like, I don't know, not like the same, but like Kevin Owens. Like he wasn't
Right.
like in horrible shape. He wasn't in great shape. He was just like kind of like fine. Like,
And I mean,
just a
good for
bit.
Walter for getting in shape.
Yeah.
That's great for him, but he's
But
not quite,
don't.
that's part of the mystique disappearing for me because we saw him from like 15 feet away in a hallway in the basement
Yeah.
of an indie show.
Yeah, yeah.
And he looked like he like filled that hallway, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's just a personal preference. I liked the Haas Walter better. But anyways, we then did have the main event, which was, as you put it, Ziggler, very surprisingly to me, defeating
Ziggler
Braun
also wearing
Breaker.
trunks.
So yeah, and Breaker did lose his trunks at one point because they weren't, like, I was noticing early on, they weren't as skin tight as most people's, because he's wearing a singlet and then he did the straps down and at one point they pretty much came clean off. But
I wish I'd seen that.
but Ziggler, surprisingly to me at least, did defeat Braun Breaker to retain, but I guess it was quickly overturned, right? Because Breaker then won the next night, couple nights later. What was that?
Literally 2 nights later.
2 nights later on Raw, right? So basically early on in the match, I think it was Rude was causing a distraction and Ziggler ripped off the middle turnbuckle in one of the corners, and that ended up sort of, Breaker gets run into that, and then Ziggler hit him with a super
When
kick.
isn't that a factor? When it
Right.
comes out?
Well, you can't pull it off and not have it happen, right?
Well, I guess you could have it happen,
Chekhov's
but like, when
turnbuckle.
isn't that the finish?
Right. It was a good match. Again, nothing really spectacular, but a very solid match. I'm not sure that these two have great chemistry, if I'm being honest. And just me personally, I don't know if anyone feels this way. I still struggle with Ziggler as the champion. He's been presented to me as a mid-carder who barely wins, like just a guy of no significance. One of those, like, he's a really good hand, right? Like, yes, he's very good in the ring.
He was always the mid card, and like sometimes he was really good in that, but he was always the mid card.
And now he comes down here and he's just the dominant guy on this brand. Well, it is fair. It's a lesser brand and everything, but
at the same time, Braun Breaker's like
the blue chipper, right? He's supposed to be the next big thing. So I just kind of struggle with Ziggler as the champ. But for a pay-per-view main event, for a premium live event main event, I don't think that this was an amazing main event, but I would say it was solid. So,
well, you're talking bad about Dolph Ziggler.
Overall, I would say an underwhelming show, especially like I can't help but compare this to takeovers, right? Because it's the same company doing a pay-per-view, and every single takeover delivered. Even the worst takeover was still very enjoyable for me, right?
Yeah,
and some of them were like, every match was like many of them got A ratings from me in the past, right? So just literally for years, my favorite thing in all of wrestling was takeovers.
I'd even like put like the recent takeovers
they're good.
And takeovers because like even they were in the CWC, like even the takeovers that were still in the CWC go over this one, which this is the first NXT show in a normal venue since
that is true
since Takeover Portland, I think. So like. And it was worse.
It was just underwhelming. I gave it a C.
I mean, I didn't watch it.
A C from me. I like the opening ladder match. I like the tag team triple threat and everything else. Like, nothing was really bad. I would argue that the women's title match was close to bad. Just Jade took me out of it quite a bit, but it probably wasn't bad. But just an underwhelming pay-per-view. Just kind of there. Like, I don't feel like they wasted my time, but they also didn't give me anything to be captivated by, really. So just an average, like, C show for me. All right, so let's go into what I'm calling rapid fire Wrestlemania talk. Ready? I got night 1 and you got night 2, right?
That is correct.
So I
will pull up our picks.
I got the good night, so that's good. Oh yeah, I forgot we did picks. So just a quick note, which I think is the height of ridiculousness, that WWE did 2-hour pre-show with no matches.
Yeah, that's not good.
If you listen, I don't mean to be rude, but if you watched both pre-shows from beginning to end, I don't know what.
And enjoyed yourself.
You need to find other things to do with your time. Not even enjoyed yourself if you watched it, unless you're a podcaster who has to review it or something, or you are being tortured or something.
Reviewing
You're
the kickoff with no matches. Oh man, I'd like to see like a detailed review of the kickoff with no matches.
But if there is a hell, I'm pretty sure for me, my personal hell will be you're watching WWE pre-shows on an infinite loop with no matches. Like that's as close to hell as I could imagine.
For me, it's either that or watching the bump, just like a bump, the bump marathon.
So the opening match that was marred by an injury, obviously, is Rick Boogs and Nakamura taking on the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. I have the right show, right? SmackDown? Because I don't have a clue, but I was pretty sure.
If it's Bloodline, it's probably SmackDown.
So obviously this match was hurt by Boogs, right? Because what was it? He had both of them on his shoulders.
He did the spot that I just saw I think Sikoa did in the ladder match, and he also screwed that up.
Right. So his knee, I think it's his quad and some sort of ligament in his knee is gone.
Knee injuries and wrestling go hand in hand.
And isn't it kind of funny? And some people would say ironic, but that's not the right way to use ironic. But because they showed us. So what we do, full disclosure, when we're watching these pay-per-views, I have it recorded and we skip a whole bunch of stuff. But because I don't watch main roster, I do watch a little bit of the recap of the feud, right? Just to get a gist of it. And was it not that Boogs was faking a knee injury, right?
Yes.
So I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But, I mean, not funny for him. Obviously, I don't want anyone to be hurt.
That's just kind of like
poetic justice, or it's something. It's something. But yeah, so he's done probably for close to a year, I think. I thought the match, obviously they had to call an audible here. I thought it was an okay match. The Usos end up winning with a 1D. I don't know, what did you think of it? I would say it was just okay. But again, not their fault, right?
It was fine, and then just marred by that fact.
Right. Yep. Then we get Drew McIntyre. He defeated Happy Corbin with the Claymore, I believe it was. The kick. The
Claymore
big old kick.
Big old kick. And he was the first person to kick into the end of days.
That is in my notes, right? First person to ever kick out of the end of days. And then in the post-match, he attempted to murder...
he attempted to murder
Madcap Moss. and ended up cutting 2 of the ring ropes, right?
Which then magically fixed the next match.
And I don't even feel like Moss did a whole bunch to be worthy of being murdered in this
He was just
match.
on the apron.
Right.
And then I think it's funny, like, okay, so and then now I guess End of Days is finally on One Winged Angel level status
That's
because
right.
technically the End of Days is going like unbeaten while the One Winged Angel had already been kicked out once by Kota Ibushi. So technically the End of Days is better than the One Winged Angel.
It is. And speaking of that, Happy Corbin was undefeated until this, right? In one of the honestly, they've been pushing that as like he's undefeated since he changed his name. So stupid.
From King Corbin to Baron Corbin to Happy Corbin.
Right.
He changed his first name to an emotion that reset his record.
So again, here's our.
Wait, so by that logic, would King Woods have been undefeated when he
Yes.
changed her, like Queen Zelina, or like anyone?
Yes, it has to work for all of them, right? Just change your name and you can go on a Goldberg streak.
Why doesn't everyone do that?
Every week. Every time you lose, just change your name.
Why doesn't everyone just use like
Yet to be pinned.
End of Days or something? You just change your name every week. I'm undefeated.
Every time you lose, change your name.
Yep.
So again, our catchphrase, this was fine, but it didn't feel like a Mania match to me. It felt like a middle of a B pay-per-view kind of match. It like this is as complimentary as I get. It held my interest, right? But that's about it.
Felt like a WrestleMania Backlash match.
Kind of, right? Because I don't know. Corbin has a cool move set, but I don't really find him super interesting. And McIntyre's just kind of like, I feel like he's
cool.
He's on the back burner. I feel like, and they're saving
on the back burner for a year,
and they'll reheat him at some point. I think, right?
Will they? I
think they will. Then we get. So here's my bias, right? I am anti-nostalgia. I'm anti-celebrity in my wrestling. So I'm going to have a problem with a lot of stuff on this show, and this is one of them. It's The Miz and Logan Paul, and they defeated...
This was next? I thought there was something before
I don't think so.
Okay.
And we fast-forwarded all the ads and things, too, so I don't know. Apparently in the States, when you have Peacock, if you're using the free version, you get ads, and if you're paying for it, they shove whatever else in there.
You can watch this for free on Peacock?
Yes, if you have Peacock, I think. You get it free, but with ads. But you're paying for Peacock. It's not like it's free, but like...
So, how does that work then? Like, you pay more to get WWE too?
I believe so.
Ha!
And then you don't... I don't know. I'm not sure. Not being American, for us, it's still on the WWE Network. But anyways...
Ask your American friend.
It's the Miz... He doesn't watch it, though, I don't think.
Oh, damn.
It's The Miz and Logan Paul. They defeated the Mysterios, and another fine... Mysterios, sorry. But not very exciting match involving a celebrity non-wrestler. So... Did he do a good job for his level of experience? Yes.
No.
He did. And he's clearly a very athletic person, and believe me...
He wasn't bad, but, like, something about the way he did everything was, like, super weird. Like, he was always, like... I feel like when he did the suplex, he was, like, clutching really tight, and, like, he did his pins really weird and his powers. Like, he wasn't bad, but he did everything really weird.
And I don't want to say anything nice about either of the Paul brothers if I don't have to, but I didn't think... He's clearly a good athlete, right? And I think he could probably... Just charisma-wise and stuff, and hateability, although they're trying to make him a babyface at the end of this. But
he wanted to.
That was apparently something he negotiated in. But again, it just isn't what I watch wrestling for. I don't want to watch people that aren't wrestlers wrestle, right? I don't want to watch some celebrity play in an NBA game, right? That's not what I'm interested in. By the same token, this is my thing. I don't want to see 50-whatever-year-old Michael Jordan playing in a basketball game either. I don't get why it's a thing in wrestling. Well, I do, because they want money.
Oh, an old person coming back. Well, we'll get to that, buddy.
And when you're not making any new stars, right? Like, this is what they have to fall back on, is celebrities and people who have been retired and shouldn't wrestle anymore. But anyways, so again, Paul looked decent here. And then at the end, Miz, so they won the match. Miz hit his skull-crushing finale to somebody, probably Dominic. I don't know. I don't remember.
Probably Dominic.
But, and then at the end, Miz turned on Logan Paul, hit him with the skull-crushing finale, really for no reason, right? And what we've heard is apparently Paul didn't negotiate that into his contract, that he wants a run as a babyface. So this was, listen, be a heel on Mania, we'll turn you and you can be, even though I don't think it's going to work. People hate this guy. Like, people love to hate him, right? So
He's a douche.
I don't know how smart it is to try and force feed him as a babyface, but who knows? He is charismatic.
He's that kind of guy.
So we'll see. And then we get to what was for me the match of Mania. Like, this was my favorite match on either show, and that's Bianca Belair. She defeated Becky Lynch to become the Raw Women's Championship. Excellent match. My favorite one of the weekend. Well, of the weekend. because the other shows weren't on the weekend technically.
Technically, yeah.
No, Stand and Deliver was, but it was still my favorite of the weekend.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
actually, yeah, Stand and Deliver was the middle of the same day.
I think part of it is because these two actually have a backstory that's not silly, right? That's believable. Like they've had matches, and Becky beat her in however many seconds, right? Was that at Mania?
That was SummerSlam last year.
Right? So, and the fact that they started this match just like that, right? They had Lynch hit the manhandle.
That was cool.
And so because this has a story, this has a build that I actually can get behind.
Which I think can be also said for the next match, which didn't have a completely stupid build. Again, not like the best, but still not
realistic,
stupid.
Right? Like it's not a cartoon. It's believable. So I don't know. I just thought this was a very strong physical back and forth match. I really got into it. I was pretty much captivated by this match. I'm really, really happy for Bianca Belair because I was afraid they were sort of had decided she's not like a top tier. She's like a tier below. They did, actually. So this feels like they have recognized what they have in her because I think she's just an absolute superstar. She's been a can't miss star since she really started developing in NXT, right? I think she's fantastic. This match was awesome. I really, really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, I remember she was like always pretty talented in NXT, but it's really nice how she's become pretty like polished all around.
Yeah, and again, she's everything, right? She's an absolute powerhouse.
It's one of the rare call-ups that actually
did really well from NXT. She might go down as one of the most successful NXT graduate, possibly.
Unless you count the Shield.
Yes,
which they kind of were.
You kind of could, I guess, yeah.
Because then Roman Reigns takes the cake.
But yeah, I thought this was excellent. What about you?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I always get into this route where like it was good, but I can never really call it great because I just don't like the main roster style.
It's true.
But
it is different.
I do think like for WWE, I think this was great. I think the build wasn't completely stupid. I haven't loved some parts just from what I'm observing, but I think on the whole, it was a solid build. And I think the match was pretty good. I think the start to calling back to that first match,
cool.
which was a screw up. I think that's good use of that screw up from SummerSlam, right?
Like so tease us, let us think that's happening again.
Right, I think that's really smart. I think it was well worked. I think the right result. I think that's really smart. I'm happy for Belair.
Me too.
Now she's won both the main roster titles. I really wish she had won the NXT title because she would have triple crowned that.
Yeah,
but I think that's really cool for her. So I think that's pretty good. I think I might have preferred the next match a little more, but I think it's definitely like one of the better matches of the weekend.
I think that's definitely debatable, and that's a fair assessment.
It's one of the only two good matches on the weekend. We can for sure say that.
Yes. And that was Cody Rhodes making his surprise, quote unquote, because everyone knew it was happening.
Worst kept secret.
And again, this story was simple, right? That Seth Rollins doesn't have an opponent, sort of thing. And
it started out great because this dates back to the Reigns Rollins match, which I loved. Probably like the only main roster match I've loved this year so far.
Yes, I love that match.
I thought that was great. I still think like while I like this match, it was still the wrong spot for Rollins at Mania, but I digress. He basically got a consolation prize for that. Lashley was defending the WWE title in the Elimination Chamber match. His consolation prize was a spot in that, so that Lesnar won that. So basically, then he was trying to get a spot in. So him and Owens had formed an alliance, kind of going into that. And so then they made a run for the tag titles. That didn't work. There was somewhere along the line, Rollins faced Owens trying to get the KO show spot. That didn't work. He tried to beat Styles to face Edge again. Didn't work. Basically, he kept jumping through these hurdles. And then Vince said, you could have just asked me. I would have given you an opponent. So then Vince chose his opponent. Vince chose Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes re-signed. Cool.
Fantastic
the whole AEW
match.
shebang too. He's got his downstate theme. He's got his gear.
That's
his
one of my notes. Yes,
like he's got, and they're going full in on an American Nightmare. That they literally just poured him from AEW, and I think we can point to this as the first like AEW to WWE jump, which I think is really crazy. Like, I think they probably give him a lot of money. To me, I feel like Cody would have had to get something else besides all that money. Like, I would like to, and from what I've seen, it's like a very complex contract. Like, there's like a lot.
Bet you
it's pretty complicated, I've heard.
There's a big championship promise, I would assume.
Yeah, right? And I was thinking like some sort of creative control, but I don't know.
His dream is to win a major title that his dad could not in WWE, I think.
Which was his Raw promo.
Yes, so
and
I
then
think
like
that's true.
I've heard like his contract's like super complex and stuff. Like it's like a crazy document. So that's interesting. I'm just surprised like he actually went for that.
So yeah, you're right. Not only is he the first like get from them from AEW, but very interesting that they kept his character intact because WWE doesn't really like to acknowledge that other places exist.
But I guess because it's like I don't think they want to. Because I think it's like dashing stuff or like undashing was good, but like I don't think like they saw that as like top card.
No.
So I feel like they've seen him in AEW and like this is top card and this is what people would want to.
He
So I
felt
feel
like a star here.
It's like this is like if they're gonna main event Cody, this is the main event Cody that they would
Correct.
use. I think it's also more interesting because he was a backstage he was like EVP in AEW, so I think it's even more interesting that he jumped.
Yep, and that they're acknowledging, hey, AEW did something cool, so we're gonna keep it the same, right? At least for now.
Almost like not quite the same because they made AEW made some changes to it, but what you were saying with Malachi Black.
Yes, like Malachi brought his WWE character basically over, right? And
and then just changed it, made it better
a little bit, yeah, and added people with him.
But this is literally porting the AEW character, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I'm saying that's literally what they did.
And believe me, I love to hate Cody, but this match was fantastic, right? Like I thoroughly enjoyed this. So this
Rollins wore like a blue and black gear, which was pretty good, but it's no white Rollins.
These two matches back to back is what Mania should be to me, right? Like these are wrestlers in their prime having lengthy, fantastic matches. So that's what made night one easily my preferred night of the two. These two matches specifically. Even
I feel like then otherwise it's kind of a toss up.
Yes, it would be. And
although I'd say based on what happened on the second night, I'd probably get the slight edge to night one anyways.
Yes. And then even early on, right? The little nod to Stardust. He did the cartwheel.
Yeah, and then he did like the
gesture, whatever it is.
I like that. Yeah, we should have gotten Stardust. Let's be honest.
Right. So both men at some point in this teased hitting a pedigree as well.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting. And it took 3 crossroads, right, to eventually put Rollins down. But Cody Rhodes obviously does get the win here in his WWE re-debut, I guess you would call it. And yeah, just a very excellent match. Amazing reaction for Cody, obviously, coming in with his AEW theme and everything. So excellent match, making this hour of Mania by far the best hour, right? These two matches, this is your best hour for me. A lot of people loved all of the nostalgia stuff,
or the comedy.
Oh my god!
Celebrity
yeah,
stuff.
You have night 2. I don't have to talk about that nonsense. But people love that. Wrestling's supposed to be fun, bud. Anyways, we'll get to that.
Except when it's not.
Then there was, I don't know, man. This match, the next match did not hit for me at all, and that was Charlotte Flair. She defeated Ronda Rousey with a big boot by the end of it, and she retains the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Finish used a few times. I remember in 2016. I still don't get it.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know, man. I don't know what it was. I could not. Maybe it was the fact that it was following 2 super hot matches. I struggled to get into this. It just felt kind of flat to me.
Yeah, and I've never really cared about Rousey. Like, I definitely did not like her for a while. But, like, credit where credit's due. I did come around on her a bit by the time she left. I still don't think she's the best. I still think you could look at UFC turned wrestler and say, hey, here's Shayna Baszler.
Yes.
But, like, I still don't think she's the best. I don't think, like, it just kind of fell flat. Like, there just was not a lot to it. You could literally point to 2 matches before where you had, like, a banger of a women's match. And it's just, like, I don't care about Charlotte. I don't care about Rousey. The build's just been kind of meh.
Agreed.
And it's not even, like, there's potential here. There's 2 points where you could point to history. I remember there was, like, remember when Becky got punched by Nia Jax, so Charlotte was her replacement?
Yeah.
They had the Survivor Series match, which they might have talked about, but I didn't see it capitalized on a ton. And then you also had the build to Mania 35 main event with Lynch. Remember when they were in the police cars and there was, like, that stuff? Like, so honestly, stuff like you could build off this stuff. 2019, 2018, there's this stuff that they had, and I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention too much, but, like, from what I've been, like, because I always keep tabs on it, I didn't see that capitalized on a ton. So,
I think
like,
sometimes
there's just not a lot to this.
Sometimes they think their fans won't remember, right? But then they'll do a callback in the Becky Lynch match. So, like, which is it, right?
Right. And what's kind of annoying is, like, I think Belair should have won the Rumble again.
Right.
Like, she got that spot anyways. That would have been super cool for her.
Yes.
Like, to be, like, the first, A, 2-time Women's Rumble winner, B, first back-to-back winner. That would have been super cool.
Yes. It would, and they just, I don't know, this didn't...
And, like, Rousey could have returned to Chamber then. I don't know.
It felt kind of insignificant to me. And the one highlight, which is a low light, is how badly Charlotte Flair botched Andrade's moonsault thing, right? Where he goes for a top rope moonsault, lands on his feet, hits a standing moonsault, but she missed it, basically, right? And she needs to stop trying it.
Both times.
She's botched it several times.
It's like, we get it, you're married to Andrade or engaged to Andrade or whatever. Like, just drop it.
Because he does it amazing and she does not.
He's great at it.
But anyways, then we move into
and it's his thing. Like, just don't do that.
The main event, which is where we're gonna probably be unpopular opinion or hot takes, because people seem to love this.
Yeah, and you skip most of the segment, right? Because the segment portion of this was pretty lengthy.
It was.
And I'm gonna preface your coverage of this by saying, I don't sleep a lot during things. You sometimes
do. Not. I do.
I don't. I
you were
actually don't
fighting
like
it hard.
napping, and I was fighting it hard. Yeah, it's partly because like we started late, but like also just like it was like dark and I was kind of tired, and it was just like kind of laying on the couch like.
And you just don't want to see this.
And I just didn't want to see it. Like it was one of those times where like my eyes kept closing. I was just like trying to fight it. I was just like, I don't sleep during things. No. I don't do that. And I was struggling not to here. Like I was genuinely struggling.
And I don't use this word a lot. I pretty much hated this. And
I think I hated this, and then what they did the next night too.
So and we're again, most people love this, and they're gonna say, "Oh, you guys are just WWE haters," which we are, but with reason.
We just praised 2 matches.
Right.
We just praised 2 matches.
So I'm just telling you my opinion, and if you loved it...
Yes, I hate the majority of it. I will admit I do. I don't like the main roster style. I will say that every time. But when it's good, give credit where credit is due.
If I enjoy something, I'll tell you. But
exactly.
I don't need to see a retired wrestler in his 50s main eventing.
Another thing for me is, I hate to say this, but it's different from Goldberg. I don't want Goldberg back. I hate that. At least he didn't really retire. At least they've done that before, but Austin is one of the few that stayed retired.
And you lose a bit of respect now, because it's like you came out of retirement. I'm happy for Kevin Owens, because I'm sure this was a dream come true for him.
And it's a cool spot for him, but I think it sucks that it had to be like this, because I feel like Owens is the kind of guy who deserves like a main event spot, like because him and Jericho were supposed to have the Universal title match at Mania 33, something like that. But like, the fact that it had to be like this, that just kind of...
And Owens just sold and sold and sold. I was impressed that Austin took a suplex on the floor. I was not expecting that, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I remember when Cage powerbombed Sting.
But like when he, at the first little bit where he was like run into the barricade and stuff, he was
gentle. Stomping at like a snail's pace.
Oh my God, so slow.
That was like...
I think he got better as it went on, but like it...
but still like awful.
It kind of played out exactly how you would expect, right? I just didn't, there was nothing that interests me about this at all. And this being the main event is just further evidence that main roster is just not for me, right? If this is what you think that your fans are anticipating the most.
Let me phrase it like Steve Austin main evented WrestleMania in 2022. Mm-hmm. Nearly 20 years after his last WrestleMania match. This is 19 years after his last WrestleMania match.
Right. And he's wrestling with a shirt on, and he's a shell of himself. This is now, he's in his 50s.
Jean shorts, gray goatee.
He did look slow to start. I thought it did get better as it went on. But
not good.
Like, this is what has taught me, and I'm going to own up to my own bias. I am pretty much utterly devoid of nostalgia. And it might be somewhat counterintuitive, because I've been watching wrestling since the mid-'80s. Right. So I watched all of this, and I just don't care to see it again. I
feel like it's also like, I'm like... Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like also wrestling, it kind of is different kind of thing, right? Because like it's just gonna like keep going. I feel like it's like if I were you, like I feel like something like Spider-Man No Way Home, where like they bring me in Tobey Maguire again. I feel like that's like cool, and it's like it's like, and it was good, and like they did one time, but this is like, it's like wrestling keeps going, right? So there's always a new crop. It's like you're taking away. It's not like Tobey Maguire's like replacing someone up and coming. It's like Austin's taking a spot from like. And he could have put Belair and Lynch here. Like,
and he's not 55 playing a 25-year-old, right? Exactly. Which is what Austin's basically trying to do here.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
it's
like
not something
it's like a bad way. And I feel like that's like the case with wrestling. It's like when they do this with like Goldberg and Austin and stuff like that. Like I feel like it's just like it doesn't work in wrestling.
And yes, the Attitude Era was cool, although people. Like
even then they romanticize it.
People talk. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. And if you go back and actually watch week after week after week of Attitude Era as it was presented, there's some awful stuff in there. Because I highly recommend it. It's the Attitude Era podcast.
It's like one of those things where like there's like a lot. There's
some garbage.
When it was really good. With Austin, like, and honestly,
certain storylines, certain characters were awesome.
Just based on what I know, I feel like it's like when it was really good, like when DX was good, or like when Austin was good, it was really good.
Austin McMahon was awesome.
You're kind of bypassing this really bad stuff, and not just really bad stuff, but some of it's really of its time.
Yes, there was some stuff that does not hold up, but So I don't know. I just because I don't want to see this, I'm fine
And
with letting
their
eras and
caveat
stars
here was
go.
it was no holds barred, so
True,
that's like their
because
way
it
of saying
had to
like,
be right.
yeah,
It
and
was just a brawl.
that's just kind of lazy. It was so bad. At least he hit a decent stunner in this match.
Yes, that is coming up for sure. So this just left me feeling annoyed, right? And
I was so
correct me
tired.
if I'm wrong. Well, you were asleep, so you might not have noticed, but I was like moaning and groaning out loud because just
Yeah,
like,
no, I was like, I was fighting it. Yeah,
Um,
it was so bad.
so I thought pretty much everything about this was predictable.
Yeah.
Once the match was announced, and I enjoyed none of it, if I'm being honest. So it sounds like you feel the same.
I enjoyed none of it. I was literally
You were
doing my best not to
you
fall
were
asleep.
half asleep.
That is the way I can put it. Is I was half asleep.
You were.
And I cannot say this enough. I don't sleep during things.
No, you
like
don't.
I watch stuff. Like Survivor Series last year was boring. I watched that.
Yep.
Like I watch stuff. I don't sleep during, and I was half sleeping.
So if you
this.
ever suffer from insomnia, we know what to do.
right
Put this on. Fire up
Oh
the
my
network.
God. Like keep me up super late and just put on this match.
Yep.
like it was so bad.
So this show for me, I'm not going to go through each one again. 2 excellent matches and a bunch of other stuff, right? That didn't move the needle for me at all. So this was a C show as well, right? You can't just put the 2 matches that were on it were great, and maybe I could bump it to a C plus. I would say I'll give it a C.
I don't think I could.
But not a great show, just kind of average. It was there, it existed. I watched it, and then it ended, and I moved on.
Okay, you're being kind of nice here, so I'm gonna be meaner. Well, so for the first match, it's not really their fault. So you had like a couple of fine matches. I feel like the SmackDown Women's Title match kind of fell flat. Then you had like a mess celebrity match.
You're right.
You kind of get saved by these 2 good matches that I like, but then you like plummet deep down.
End with this
at the end. So I'm gonna go C minus because
I
that was horrible. I almost fell asleep during that.
I don't think that's
something
unfair.
I'm not gonna forget. Like it's like the comparison. Like I'll remember loving that Royal Rumble match with Rollins and Reigns. Like that was like I was like in the moment because I think they
it was so
like
fun.
literally
That
later
match was
that
so good.
show it felt like they're doing everything in their power to undo that. But like in the moment, I'll remember like I thought it was an amazing match. I still think the match was great, and I also thought the booking was so good because
It
I
was.
thought the book and then they kind of did everything in their power to undo the booking. But point is, I thought in that moment the match, the booking was awesome, and then this is just like the polar opposite. It was like an absolute stark contrast. Like it was just awful.
It was a slog. All right, so I guess that brings us to looking at night 2, which is your problem, not mine. I just get to sit back and relax and listen to you talk about. You already know we preferred night 1 over night 2, and we didn't like night 1. So guess what?
So.
But anyways.
It can only get worse.
Yeah, go. You can go quick because we don't need a ton of details.
It's like we're falling down a horrible mountain. It's like it's not like you can go back up. We keep getting worse.
Yes.
We kicked off with the Triple H promo. He retired. You skipped
Put
it.
his boots in the ring.
We skipped it.
Great job. I did skip it.
Yep.
Don't care.
So we didn't see it.
I'm
We
sure it
started
was
with
amazing.
RK Bro defending the Raw Tag titles against Street Profits and Alpha Academy. There were a couple of bits where Montez Ford hit a dive to the outside, and then Chad Gable hit a moonsault to the outside.
Yep.
There were simultaneous DDTs by RK Bro to Street Profits. There's a big near fall where Ford hit Gable with a blockbuster as he used an electric chair from Dawkins, basically an electric chair street sweeper, ripping off the street sweeper.
Right.
I did not appreciate that. The finish comes when Riddle took out Ford with a springboard RKO with Ford on the top rope, and Orton hit Gable with an RKO, and as Gable came off the top rope, submit RKO for the win.
That looked
Champs
good.
retain. Then Gable Stevenson came out for some reason. It was Gable versus Gable. That was stupid.
Yep.
Gable Stevenson sucks.
He's not that impressive looking, right? Like he's no Brock Lesnar, that's for sure.
Nope.
But I actually thought this match was pretty
I thought it was
entertaining.
fine. It was just like there's like a lot of action all over the place. So I think it was like I think it's what you'd want in the opener. I think compared to the night 1 opener, I think it was solid. Like I don't think it was anything great. I
I'm
didn't
trying to
love
think
it.
if this because I'm kind of going off the
But I don't-
cuff for this. But
yeah, same. I don't
this
remember
might have
like
been.
a ton.
I'm gonna see, but it might have been my match of the night. I'll refresh my memory.
Oh
as we
man,
go.
that is such a low bar, but
Right?
I think so.
Right?
I didn't even like this that much.
No, I thought it was good.
I think
enjoyed
it was fine.
it.
I
But
think it was like fine. Like I think it wasn't bad. I don't think it was great.
I'd give it better than fine, but it wasn't amazing. That's for sure.
Oh man, I think you're right too. That's so sad.
Right?
Oh,
I mean, I'm gonna have to see once you describe.
I'm looking like
remind
through
me,
the
but-
match list right now. And I think that's pretty fair.
That's pretty gross.
That is gross. It's not even like Rollins Reigns at Rumble where it's like, oh man, I love that, and then they peaked early. This
Was
like
it was pretty good.
it was solid, and
I
then
enjoyed it.
they peaked early there.
Yep.
You peak at solid.
That sucks. That's too bad. This is supposed to be the biggest show for the biggest company in this sport.
Speaking of solid, someone who's pretty solid is probably big guy Omos.
Oh my god.
Taking on Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
I actually like Bobby Lashley's tights. For the first time, he wore like a half and half color tights. Like half of them, it was black with red logo. Half of it was red with black logo. I like that. I thought that was a cool, like, 'cause so far he's worn black tights with gold logos, black tights with black logos, black tights with white logos, white tights with black logos, and finally red tights with black logos.
Yes, so are you avoiding talking about this
So
epic
now
match? Is
he's
that what
wearing
you're doing?
half and half colors.
I feel like that's what you're doing.
A little bit, but I actually did like the attire. I think that was cool. If they made a figure that, I would definitely get that because I
Right.
think it was pretty cool. So notable things, if you can
I
even call
don't
it
think
that.
there's a long list of here. I'm guessing.
I actually have 7. Just kidding.
No chance.
No chance in hell. That's what you got.
Yeah.
Omos caught Lashley and launched the former champion from his shoulders. It was like the thing where he has him in a fireman's carry,
just
and
flips
because
him up
he's
and drops
big,
him.
he just drops him.
Yeah.
Because he's tall.
He is tall.
So by that logic, gravity.
He is big. Yep, gravity indeed.
Yeah, gravity does the work.
Yep.
Omos had Lashley in a bear hug. Lashley fought out, and after many attempts, he had a suplex. I guess that's cool.
Notable for Omos.
I guess that's
Yeah.
cool. Omos got Lashley in a bear hug. There's your submission. But Lashley fought out. I put that again. Oh, whoops. The finish came when he hit a spear to the back for some reason, and then another spear
Yeah.
for the win. And then on Raw, MVP turned on Lashley to go with Omos. So
Well, Omos needs
they
someone
actually
to
viewed
talk.
Lashley as a babyface here, which I think is weird because I think we can all say babyface Lashley sucks.
Yes. And now he doesn't have a mouthpiece. Lashley's actually not as bad on the mic as people think. Omos needs
this
somebody,
sucks.
obviously.
Omos sucks. I guess
this was
giving
bad.
him the one thing with giving him MVP is at least MVP can talk to him. But I feel like it works with Lashley because Lashley's good. He can back it up. This is just like
I'm going to assume
bad.
this is Omos's first loss as a singles guy. I would
yeah.
assume.
So this was bad. Omos can't do anything.
He is like to call
He
him
can't do crap.
to call him limited is kind, I think, right?
That's kind.
It
yeah.
is kind.
I think I've seen Andre the Giant do more.
Andre the Giant, when he was well past his prime, was like, well, that's probably
I
not
think
true. He was
even-
awful too, but
But I think even then he was better. Like even that crappy underhook suplex they hit
Yeah.
Hogan with is better than anything. Have you seen Omos take any bumps beside that suplex? No, he just drops people in various ways.
Yeah.
He used the Punjabi plunge, the move from Great Khali. That's the state of things with him.
so this was, I mean, mercifully it wasn't very long, but it certainly wasn't interesting. I did
was
not enjoy
bad.
this one either.
Lashley,
Bad.
poor Lashley. What a difference a year makes. Last year he was in an opener, which not an ideal spot for a world title match, but it's the opener. You're still starting things
And the
off.
Hurt Business was cool.
And yeah, and he was defending the title against McIntyre. Like that was cool. Now he's at this, so
Yep.
that sucks for Lashley.
It was bad stuff.
Speaking of bad stuff,
If you offered me $5,000 to tell you what was the next match, it's like I've blocked this out of my mind.
Okay.
It was long enough away now.
do you know?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, what's your guess?
I don't even know what was on the card, to be honest. I remember, is this Sami Zayn?
Yeah.
Oh, nailed it.
Nice.
$5,000, please. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Okay, wait. Tell me. Okay, other than Pat McAfee, tell me one other thing that's on the card.
What else is there? I don't know. It's all just, I'm traumatized by it, I think.
Do you remember? At least there's the main event, right?
Was there more tag teams on this?
Yeah.
I thought so. But who?
Come on.
The Usos
you can
already
do it.
fought.
You can do it.
They already had that.
We already saw RK Bro. That was the opener.
Yeah, who's left? I don't know.
The women's tag match.
Oh,
was
okay,
later.
women's tag. Got it.
And then also the New Day squash and AJ Styles and Edge.
So this,
So next we have Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville, and anything goes. Just call it no DQ. Why do you have to give it another name?
welcome to. Remember what did I say when we were watching it? This was Home Alone. It's Home Alone meets Double Dare kind of.
Okay, so when I was gathering the notable spots from CBS Sports, credit to them.
Yep.
They called it. It was basically a Looney Tunes cartoon in the form of a wrestling match.
Yeah. And it felt Home Alone, right? Where
it's just like a bunch of traps and stuff.
he is what's his face? Knoxville is Kevin.
Kevin McAllister, and Sami Zayn is take your pick of Harry or Marv.
Because that's what I want in wrestling. And again, I like because it's been I normally don't listen or read anything before, but since it's been so long, I did see some people's reviews, and this was very well received. Remember, I told you someone's like, "This is this is what wrestling's supposed to be fun, and this was fun. So what was my example of fun wrestling? Do you remember?
No.
The Stadium Stampede one.
Yes, right. Yes, that was fun. That was fun.
This is not fun, dude.
No.
This is
just like,
this is embarrassing.
I think
this is
what I would call it mind numbing. It's just like, it's like I'm a 5-year-old child. It's like, it's making me dumber, I feel like.
And if you're like, if your mother or your brother walked in who aren't wrestling fans, they'd be like, "What the hell are you watching?" If anyone
walked in, I would be embarrassed to be watching this.
This is not fun. Anyways,
it's like you had like a giant mousetrap, like a male stripper guy, a midget guy,
a giant hand swing out and hit you.
Yeah, there's like a giant hand. There's mousetrap, like just a bunch of stupid stuff.
Table with mousetraps on it.
Yeah, it was just like, it's like,
it was so stupid.
It was just really stupid. It's like,
it was Looney Tunes.
I'm an idiot.
That's fair. That's a fair comparison for sure.
It's like, it's literally the epitome of them thinking we're idiots.
And I was groaning a lot out loud on this one.
This was almost as bad as Austin. I feel like, I don't know which one was worse. I think what happened later is worse.
This was longer, so I think this was worse than Omos.
Because I was saying Austin.
Oh, Austin. Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Probably this, because I love Kevin Owens, so I got to give it. I like Sami Zayn too, and he's really proud of this match and said it's one of his favorite matches.
Poor Sami. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, did nothing with Owens or Cesaro mean anything to him? If this is up there,
yeah. So
that sucks. Anyways, I'm once again neglecting my duty. So Wee Man, the little person. Oh
God, I forgot that.
Attacked Zayn and hit a body slam.
He had his Hulk Hogan slamming Andre moment, they say.
The immovable object meets the irresistible force.
And again, I mean, I'm kind of obnoxious in this way. I don't know who a lot of these people are. I'm aware of Jackass. I'm a little bit too old for it. Like I was telling you, your uncle, who's significantly younger than I'm sure was into Jackass, and I'm aware of what they do, and I've seen some things. But
what does this have to do with wrestling?
I don't think it's fair for them to assume that I know who all of these sidekicks of his are, because I don't. I know who Wee Man
like,
is.
You're saying like I feel like some people that they're watching, like maybe a bunch of people will know them, but like we keep saying like you're saying, especially with NXT, but I think it could be said for everything. The target demo is kids or even like teens, like a little younger than me, perhaps even my age. Who knows who Jackass is? I hardly knew Jack. The one thing I knew about Jackass is that they were supposed to face Umaga at SummerSlam once.
And did this hook you in then, bud? Because you're the demo they want.
No, opposite. And like, it's like, what child knows what Jackass is,
right? Likes
Jackass, or cares about Jackass?
I don't.
Other than that, it might have been funny to them in the moment, but like, what's that draw to this before you see the match? You know what I mean?
I agree.
So, anyways, there's the body slam that set up a Knoxville tornado DT for near fall. Knoxville knocks Zayn off the top rope by pressing a button that set off Pyro from the ring post behind him, so he got knocked off. And then this...
It's Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. It is. It is.
This built to Knoxville throwing Zayn from the top rope through a mousetrap covered table at ringside. The mousetrap
to no effect.
The mousetraps didn't even do anything.
No.
So...
Like, I wanted him to get up and he had a bunch hanging off of him, right?
That would have been something.
Right.
And then Knoxville used a giant mousetrap to pin Zayn and get the win.
That kind of malfunctioned, right? Like, Knoxville ended up catching himself in it as it was closing.
Kind of like as the thing was swinging, kind of clipped him.
Right. And it didn't look like it was enough to hold anybody in place. And technically your shoulders aren't on the mat, so does that matter?
I mean, for the sake of tearing this match apart, but yes, I'll say that. So technically, this match is never over.
Of all the things that happened in this match, that's what I'm worried about. Right?
Yeah, that's what you should be worried about.
Yeah, it was awful. It was horrible. I hated it, and people loved it, so
it wasn't fun. It wasn't funny. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't a draw. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't good. Johnny Knoxville looked stupid.
And yet again,
he was bad.
A celebrity on there, and who wasn't on this card? Finn Balor couldn't get a payday.
The U.S. champion. No, neither mid-card champion. This is the first time neither mid-card titles have been defended on the show. Neither of them were here.
But we're going to get Vince and Stone Cold and Knoxville and Logan Paul and somebody else, some other celebrity I'm missing. I don't know.
Who'd you got Paul, Knoxville, Austin. I think that covers
Vince.
It.
Coming up.
McAfee even.
Oh, yes, McAfee. That's the other one.
I don't know if he's like a celebrity still, but...
He is. He has a huge sports podcast.
That reminds me, I was playing 2K19, and for whatever reason, I think it was like some football reference. I don't remember why, but they actually mentioned Pat McAfee. And keep in mind, that game came out in 2018.
Right.
So that's like way before McAfee. So I thought that was really interesting. I was like, oh my god, they mentioned Pat McAfee because he was football, right? So it was
Yes.
some football really mentioned. So I thought that was really interesting.
He has a huge podcast, and he's a big enough deal that Vince lets him kind of say what he wants because he has enough money to be like, you can threaten to fire me. I can walk away, and I'm generationally wealthy anyway. So he gets a lot of a very long leash from Vince for whatever reason. But anyways, carry on with this nonsense.
Next we get Carmella and Queen Zelina Vega, the champions, defending against the women's tag titles, the most prestigious championships in all professional wrestling, bar none.
For sure. It's a career maker, these belts.
They defend against the 3 realest teams in history. Like, you know how Enzo's always going like, realest guys in the room, realest teams in the room, bro.
For sure.
So it's Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Sasha Banks, and Naomi. Boston Glow connection.
Yes. I picked this one. Shayna I know it. We'll go back.
And Natalia. You could go like fight in something.
I don't know.
Because fight and play were Baszler.
Fight's taken.
Oh, okay. Combat and heart. Because heart.
I think I didn't like this match, if I remember correctly.
Well, based on the current trend, I'd say you probably liked it.
At least it was actual wrestlers in a match, right? So, any notables?
For the most part.
Anything at all?
Zelina hit Morgan with the code red, but Ripley broke the pin, setting off a stretch of everyone hitting big moves.
Right.
Finisher fest. Morgan and Ripley hit simultaneous Tower of Doom spot to other people.
Oh, yeah. Opposite corners, right?
Most convoluted stuff.
Yeah. Cooperation.
I find it very hard to believe that Liv Morgan is the bottom of a Tower of Doom. Like, Ripley, sure, yeah.
Sure.
But
Natty,
Liv Morgan, Natty, Baszler,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Liv Morgan.
120-pound Liv Morgan throwing 3 people off the ropes. You don't believe it? Maybe not.
Okay. It's at least better than Zelina Vega. They picked the second worst option.
I find 1 Tower of Doom to be a lot of cooperation for me to accept, let alone 2.
That's fair. I think sometimes it's done well, but I feel like
if it happens quickly, it's when they're shifting around and getting ready, and it's like 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? Then I'm like,
it's just like taking like 20 seconds,
right?
And then when you're doing that on like you're mirroring it, it's like it's pretty weird.
Yep.
But so there's that. Then there's like a big run, and so they hit Naomi with a riptide onto Morgan's knees. That
was kind of interesting.
That was alright.
Yep, I thought that was.
And then Naomi hit like a weird facebuster on the Banks' knees. It looked kind of sketchy, and so Banks and Naomi win.
Yeah, I picked it. Yeah. We'll go back to our picks.
I purposely didn't pick it because I didn't care.
Yeah, there was a lot of us being like, "Don't care, I'll take this."
I literally picked Baszler because I like her, and I didn't care to pick it right.
Yep.
Because you could see who was coming.
Yep.
Which I find funny is that they were the original challengers. But I guess because Carmella and Zelina suck, you'd throw them in a 4-way. Oh my God,
Carmella and Zelina. Like, I don't know, man. Zelina Vega was amazing as Andrade's second. I thought they were just a perfect act. And then they decided she needs to wrestle.
Yeah.
Right? And on NXT, they used her perfectly because she would hit like one
Hurricane Rana from the apron, and that was it.
Well, the ref wasn't looking, and that was basically it.
That was like her thing. It's like a classic.
Such a good package.
She was like a classic manager where it's like she's good on the mic. She's kind of devious, and she whenever the rest of the looking, it's like I hate to like bring him up, but it's like Cornette always brings in the racket. Like that's his thing to interfere. It's like she's got a signature thing to interfere. And
she came across as having like business savvy and smarts, and was actually helping Andrade, right? And they were just a great combination, and then they decided she needed to wrestle, and that's not what they should have done. But anyways.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Yep.
Next we get a letdown. Well, actually, I didn't really care for it, but it was still a letdown. AJ Styles versus Malachi Black. Oh, sorry.
Nope.
Edge.
It's Dollar Store Malachi Black. What did I see? It was called Wish. It was
Wish.com.
It was the Wish.com.
Yeah, it's Malachi Black with Undertaker lighting.
Yeah. I actually didn't mind this match, although I think probably on.
I didn't hate it. I just didn't really like it
because they're both talented guys. So
I just felt like it kind of bored me too much. I feel like it should have kept my interest more than it did.
Still, I mean, and I'm not saying it was great, but it would be the only other candidate for match of the night other than that opener. For me.
I guess it has to be
right.
That's I didn't even like this that much either.
I thought this under delivered. Like I was expecting this to be better than it was. I don't think it was bad. I'm in that
ballpark, maybe a little like more. Like, it just kind of fell flat a bit for me.
Right.
So there's like Styles hit like a torture rack, blue thunder bomb for a near fall. Edge was able to get a label lock, but Styles escaped again, and then he had like a submission that was focusing on the shoulder. I think Edge was going for a leg, and then Styles was going for a shoulder, or is the other way around?
I can't. That's a detail I
I
wouldn't
don't know.
remember. Without
Styles
notes.
drove Edge in the ring apron with a superplex. Nearly resulted in a double count-out, but Styles had a spring for 450 when Edge got back in the ring, got a near fall. So Styles gearing up for the final forum. Damian Priest was just standing there,
Yes,
looking
that's right.
in the ring. He didn't even do anything. But Styles was like, "Oh, there's someone
Distracting.
else here."
Yes, must pay attention.
Oh, there's a tall goth guy. Oh my god, the eyeshadow or whatever,
Yeah.
eyeliner on Damian Priest, like, do better.
It's fine. It's a choice.
And so the delay, Edge mid-air speared him, which I could have seen coming from a mile away.
Mhm.
So Edge wins.
Yeah, I
Cool.
mean,
He's got a different theme.
and this is now him starting this faction, I guess, with Priest in it. So yeah, I mean, probably a good match, but it's not like a main
It was
event.
okay.
It's not like a WrestleMania standout match, right? It was good enough, I guess.
It was fine.
It kind of stood out on this show because I couldn't
I
stand
don't
most
even
of
think
it.
it
but-
did because I didn't care.
Yep.
New Day versus Sheamus and Rich Holland. This lasted like a minute. Kofi Kingston hit
100 seconds. What
Trouble
the
in
heck?
Paradise early. He nearly beat Holland seconds in the match. Also, him and Woods were wearing singlets for Big E, so I thought that was kind of cool.
That
They
was
looked
cool.
stupid
That
in
was a-
them, but I thought it was still cool.
And they got squashed on
Yeah.
WrestleMania.
Butch distracted the ref. Sheamus hit Woods with a brogue kick. Holland hit Northern Grit to score a win. It was super short. I didn't care. It was super fast. I'm
And
not going to really talk about it that much.
Pete Dunne's character is like he's a wild animal and they're just barely controlling him or something, right? Like he's a rabid dog and it's all Sheamus can do to
He's just like a psycho pet.
It's disappointing, man.
It's disrespectful.
He is so good. And I thought his most recent run in NXT, like he was actually a good promo because that's what I thought was always missing. And then there was
And
like
he was in way better shape, too.
6-7 promos in a row. I'm like, this guy can actually talk, right? So they've just
And
again
he survived in 2.0.
just unraveled everything that he put together in NXT and just make him a joke within 2 weeks of being on the main roster. He's a joke.
He is.
He's a joke.
He looks like a joke.
And he's
is a joke.
incredible. Imagine him in AEW. Oh my God. Or Ring of Honor.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He is awesome.
He could
He
single-handedly
was-
get
he
me
was
to
awesome.
watch anywhere. I will watch wherever he's at.
He was awesome. Past
Yeah.
tense.
He was.
Yep. So this was a literally less than 2 minutes. So what could I possibly say? I was shocked.
We've already talked about it longer than the match went.
Yep. So it was a 100-second squash. So good for them. And then is it main event time?
Okay.
Tell me we're there.
Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory is up next.
Oh yeah. So not quite.
So McAfee came out to Seven Nation Army and offended me greatly.
Because Jack White is my favorite musician. White Stripes, my
I
favorite
will
band.
Double on that as well.
So I mean, it's
one of my namesakes.
It's a good. That's right. It's a good choice because the crowd gets into it, right? And they must have paid big money for it.
So hopefully that goes to. It has to go to him, yeah.
Yeah, of course, the royalties go to him.
Yeah, so that's good for him, I guess. But it just like, I was just like, I heard that coming. I was like, what is that actually it? At first, I thought it was off. I was like, is it a remix? But no, it was definitely it. And then I was
It was
just
a
like,
legit version.
I was disgusted and confused, and I was just like, ew. Like, and they never pay for music.
No,
Never. Like, the last time I remember them doing that is Cult of Personality.
right.
That's like ages ago. That was ages ago. Like, maybe Cody now, but like,
Hmm.
ew. It was just gross. I was just like, Pat, he had a theme from NXT.
Right.
It's not like he's never wrestled before. I've seen him wrestle 2 times, and he had a theme.
I feel like this is him going, I want this, and them giving him what he wants. But
It was just like so disgusting. It wasn't even the worst part about this, but it was just like so gross.
mhm.
It made me uncomfortable.
Anyways, keep moving because I think your brother and mother are almost
It
done.
might
dinner.
have ruined that song for me.
No,
They're
don't
still
say
eating.
that. Yeah,
They
they.
said- wow.
She texted me saying, "Bloody hell, we're an hour in and we just ordered Jeebus."
Wow. All right. Well, we're talking about it on the air. I'm again neglecting this because, okay. So I think you've seen a pattern now. When it sucks, I'm gonna try to not talk about it.
So hurry up. We got to get this over with.
So McAfee got to a hot start with spinning elbows and Rons to keep Theory on the defensive. He won his trademark spots where he gets pushed out the top rope, backflips, lands on
Yes,
his feet,
that was
leaps
kinda
back
cool.
up, hits a superplex.
Yep.
That was all right. He scored a win with a roll up counter to the ATL. Or I guess now it's A-Town Down, which I don't understand that.
So again, like
Whoa.
Sorry.
Whoa.
Carry on.
McAfee taunted Vince McMahon, who was at ringside, and now we get Pat McAfee versus Vincent Kennedy McMahon, baby.
Amazing.
The genetic jackhammer,
Mm-hmm.
who's steroidal, I assume.
And this
Still
is
steroidal.
like, talk about not needing to see it.
Yeah, Theory handed McMahon a football. So they did a bit like McAfee's just bumping around. Vince is like doing the bare minimum. And if you thought Austin was doing the bare minimum, this is like the bare minimum.
Right.
The absolute bare minimum. And so Theory handed him a football, and he punted the football into McAfee as he was prone on the canvas.
Stupid.
So it was like weak sauce. Pinned him off of that.
Yeah.
Cool. After the match, Steve Austin's music hit, and so Cole marched to the ring, got in his face.
I'm picturing it already. What you're gonna talk
so
about.
Theory tried to jump Austin. He took a bunch of right hands and stunner, which he sold the crap out of.
But
which
then
people are always like, "That's so great." I'm like, it was cool, but it's like whatever. And then that was Austin McMahon. So they, there was a callback, I guess, if you want to call it that. And then they shared some beers, and then
a lot of beers were being drunk.
Oh my god, so many.
Drunken.
I think also they did that the previous night too.
They did.
Drunken.
There was tons of beer.
So
and then he drove the 4-wheeler after drinking 20 beer.
He kicked him in the gut, and then kind of lost Vince. So
Vince fell down and struggled to get up.
So like he kicked him in the gut, and he kind of lost Vince. Like Vince kind of stumbled down, kind of like leaned against the ropes, and then Austin's like trying to rein him back in, and then hit the weakest looking stunner of all time. I implore anyone who has not seen this to please go find it. It was the worst stunner of all time.
We laughed and
There's been some bad ones, but this was like, I think the first stunner Vince ever took was pretty bad, and then the last stunner he'll take was really bad. Like
he also stunned Linda once that I remember being pretty bad too.
Ooh, I think this has to be the worst stunner ever.
Bad.
If anyone sees this is the worst stunner ever, go look at it. It was so bad.
And you know what is the best part is that Vince is so insanely proud that will kill him. Like that will cut him to his core.
So I'm actually glad it happened.
That he botched that so badly, because there's no way he walks out of that thinking that went well, right? Like he knows that was garbage. So that's fun.
No, that's the only upside.
Yeah, that's the
Austin
highlight.
shared a beer with McAfee. He took a stunner while spewing beer as he took it. So it's a classic, like, you drink the beer, you spit it out when you take a stunner.
Yeah, these people are idiots that keep thinking they're not going to get a stunner, right? Because that's what he does to everybody.
Yeah,
as an anti-hero. But yeah, this was
even of like a senior citizen anti-hero. That's pretty funny.
So we got all my favorite stuff. We got a non-wrestler wrestling in McAfee. Don't call him a wrestler. He's had a couple matches. He's not a wrestler. He's not bad for the amount he's done. But
he's
again,
not a wrestler.
That's not what I'm looking for. And then we get super ultimate nostalgia in a 70-whatever-year-old man.
We get Vince McMahon wrestling, the ultimate treat.
And then Steve Austin coming out again. So this was like everything I hate just packed into one.
It was so bad.
10 pounds of crap into a 5-pound bag kind of situation.
I'd got like 25 pounds of crap in that bag.
Yeah, so I dislike this, especially like the McAfee match itself, whatever.
It's pretty short. I feel bad for Theory for being involved in it, because I actually came around on Theory. Like,
yeah.
I think he was pretty good. I still love Theory and Gargano versus Dunn and Lorcan from last year.
That was
still love
match.
that. But I think Theory was good. I think it sucks because, like, and so they kind of reheated him after this. He pinned Balor in a 6-man tag, so maybe they give him the U.S. title, but that seems to be pretty meaningless.
Yes.
But anyways, like, they could have plans for him. Like, he's a good NXT talent. He's pretty good, but like, and so I feel like this is just like a crappy spot for him. Like, in Theory. I didn't mean to do that. I swear. In theory, like, being like Vince's guy should be good, and that should have been good.
Yep.
But then they did this, and now that's
not good.
Horrible. It's like a big fat curse, and now I'm gonna just segue right into the main event.
Do it.
Reigns, Lesnar, number, insert big number here.
Mm-hmm.
Unification match for the big titles.
Yep.
Which are identical to each other, just recolored. So that's fun. One of them's black, one of them's blue.
Sweet.
Lesnar clothesline Reigns over the top rope, followed him to the floor. He allowed himself to be distracted by chasing down Paul Heyman for some reason.
Right.
When Reigns speared him through the barricade. I'm glad they're venturing out of their comfort zone, going into some new spots, because I'm been kind of bored. Where you just do a spear in the ring, or he spears him through the table, or he spears him on the outside. Like, at least they went through the barricade this time, you know.
Very
I actually
fresh.
forgot to mention, on the hard cam side, they had LED around the barricade corners.
They did.
I'm surprised they resist the urge to do like a spear to the LED barricade.
Too expensive.
Yeah, but they've done that through the stage before.
True.
So I just think that would have been like if they did that, would have been like, oh, that's actually cool. But it didn't.
Nope.
Reigns tried to a spear, caught an F5 for a near fall. Reigns caught at Lesnar's face to avoid another F5. He speared him, which sent him into the official. So ref bump basically. Hit him with a low blow and a belt shot. 2 count. Lesnar went for an F5. Reigns slid out, hit a spear for a sudden finish. Reigns is a double champion.
The finish was sudden. Like I was like, oh, okay, right.
Roman,
like kind of came out of nowhere.
Bloodline 2 belts.
Yeah.
So now Reigns has 2 belts that look similar. Again, just different colors of the same belt.
This match was actually pretty good. Maybe this is the match of the night. I keep kind of changing my mind. This probably was. A pretty good match between these two. Like Lesnar's matches are never super long.
This Monday, I think, after Mania.
We did.
So I was half paying attention to this because I'm pretty sure we watched it during dinner.
And the finish was sudden. Like I don't think it was a bad match, and I don't know if it felt like the main event.
They were calling it
like
the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. This is literally the same thing they did with Edge and Orton, where I feel like it's a fine match, right? It's not like
don't close
horrible.
it up because you got to review our picks,
right? It's not. It wasn't like a horrible match, but it wasn't like great either.
It was blown away by Rollins. It
definitely wasn't deserving of the billing. I think that's kind of karma coming back to bite them in the ass. Is they had the opportunity to give Rollins and Reigns
here we go.
a big
with
spot.
Your Rollins rant again.
Or they could have done a
Just
Rollins
fast forward,
Reigns
people. You've heard this 27
Rollins
times.
Reigns Lesnar
Here
triple threat and given Rollins a good spot, but they didn't, and Rollins still.
They do not see Seth
asses.
Rollins at that level. I've told you this 1,000 times.
But they've done that before, and they could do it again.
They won't.
Rollins
he's a notch
one of the
below.
best ones they have.
He's like between a good hand and the guy. He's just somewhere in between there. He's a notch below. But anyway,
Rollins should still beat Reigns. They could still do it. SummerSlam this year, okay?
Grade for this show. We got to wrap this up, man.
SummerSlam last year, but
we're pushing 2 hours. And
okay, so am I going night 1? We already did night 1, right?
We did night 1.
Okay, so the Vince crap was really bad, really, really bad. And then
this
so
one's
there was
easy
nothing
for me.
And then the Knoxville, I'm gonna say it was worse, so I'll go a D.
That was what I was thinking. This is a D show. There was nothing that I would say go out of your way and watch it. There was nothing I would ever watch again. There was stuff that I thought was awful. And then there was some matches that were okay to good. And that is enough to earn you a D on the biggest show of the biggest company in this sport, quote unquote. So yeah, just a super lackluster WrestleMania. I don't know what consensus is with other people. If you want to let us know, we'd love to hear from you. But I strongly dislike this year's WrestleMania.
I will go to bat for the things that are really bad. So if you want to disagree with me, I will strongly disagree with you. Yeah, I think this is like people are saying like, oh, this felt like WrestleMania again.
Did not.
Like I would say stuff like Corbin or like the night 1 opener, like the Butch stuff. Oh,
right.
Pete Dunne.
Yeah.
Like that was like there's a lot of stuff that just felt below Mania, and then there's stuff like the celebrities, the old people that just sucked. It was really bad.
It was disappointing.
Like just as a whole, did not feel like a good Mania. So we'll go over the picks again.
Yep.
And just keep score. It's gonna be too much to finger tally, so just keep score somehow.
Gotcha.
Okay, so McIntyre, Corbin, we both picked McIntyre.
So we're even.
Yeah, we're at.
Don't worry, I got the score. I got the tally.
Okay.
It's just gonna be even or up 1 or whatever. Go ahead.
Okay, so the squash match. Do you pick that? So 2-1 you.
I'm up 1. Just trust me. Don't keep tallying it.
Usos, Nakamura, Boogs. We both picked Usos.
So I'm up 1. Just trust me.
The Miz and Paul versus Mysterios. I picked that.
So we're even.
Yep. So Rollins versus Mystery Person. We picked Cody Rhodes for the appearance and the win. So that's
we're even.
Still tied. Yes. We got Belair Lynch. I picked that. So
you're up 1.
Then we got Flair Rousey.
That's
you
me.
picked that. So
Even.
Even again. We kind of picked the Austin thing. We both picked that, so we'll just keep it tied. It doesn't really matter.
Yep.
So we moved to night 2. You picked the women's tag.
Up 1.
Yep. We both picked Zayn to win.
Up 1.
Yeah.
Me
so it's
still.
the same. We both got the Raw tag title match wrong. So
Me up
we
one
picked
still,
different picks and
but
we're
wrong.
wrong.
Up one for me.
We both picked Omos to win and we were wrong.
Me
So
up
yourself
one.
We both picked McAfee to win that.
Me
so,
up one.
Yeah. We both picked Edge, so we're both right.
Oh,
And
who's
both
the
picked
win?
Reigns, and
I
we're
am
both right.
your WrestleMania champion. That's not really a feather in my cap because I
You're
didn't.
champion of a bad mania. Congratulations.
Yeah. But wow, dude, we talked an hour 45. Imagine if we tried to do the full show tonight, it would have been like 4 hours long.
Yeah, that would have been super short.
So I think we're gonna wrap up here, and then we will try and when we get home tomorrow.
Episode 98.
I don't think we'll be home super late. We'll do a second part of this where we'll talk about AEW Dynamite and NXT and trivia and figuring it out. So we'll hit all that stuff tomorrow. We'll call this episode 90A. And
Part 1.
From the hotel.
Ooh, we're pulling a mania. This is night one of episode 90.
So our first time broadcasting from the hotel, so hopefully everything sounds okay. Let us know if you have any feedback for us. We'd love to hear it. fnswrestling@gmail.com or on Instagram, FNS_wrestling_podcast, or leave a comment on YouTube if you're one of those folks that listens on YouTube. Anyways, we do appreciate any time you spend listening to us, and be sure to check back again tomorrow. Wherever you found this, you will probably find a part B from us. So again, thank you for your time and your listen, and we hope you have a great night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, take care.